Hello, what's happening? I hope everyone's okay. Big shout out to everyone who likes, shares, subscribes, comments. Lovely. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Without you, another platform. Just want to talk about what's been going on recently. My brother Joe, he's up the wall. He's finding life really difficult. I don't know how to deal with it at the best of times. I'm there, and because I feel really inadequate and I've got no control about how he's feeling or reacting, it's a struggle. So sometimes I've just got to sit there and let him be, give him time, like my mum said. And hopefully he'll come out of it. He's still going to work, he's still doing his daily things. He's just isolating a lot, really, in his room and chilling with the Netflix and whatever. He needs to do a little bit more training. I've said that to him, a little bit more walking, eat more healthy. I don't sit there and monitor him all the time. My mum's quite poorly, so she can't, you know, she can't really do much. He's an independent kid, so he goes and gets his little job and goes to his cafe and does his little bit of volunteer work. So he gets out and about, but for some reason he doesn't want to go to his clubs, his Thursday clubs, his Tuesday clubs. You know, they've got events and holidays booked for him and he doesn't want to do them now. He's rejecting all this, and that's unusual for Joe. It's out of character, so I was quite concerned. He's very limited in his vocabulary. I think he's aware of that. You know, it's thanks guys, yes, no, I'm okay, how are you, I'm good, fantastic. There's never any conversation. There's no communication in that way where we can talk and how are you, how's your day been? He'll go, it's good, it's okay. And you know, I suppose that's just what it is. He doesn't really know much about the world, but he gives a lot to it. You know, he really does. He's got amazing assets. He's very, very thoughtful, Joe. He'll always write your little letters, and they're all little pictures. I mean, when I say write, it's just like the one word or something like that. Like, it'll be a picture, it'll be Billy and family. So he's very family orientated. You know, so he's got loads of positive attributes. And I love the bones of him. You know, and thousands and thousands of people love the bones of him. You know, so I hope by giving him a little bit of time, he'll be okay. I'll go down and see him tomorrow, or maybe later if I get the chance. Check in with him, I'll call him. He says to me, call me. Nobody phones me. Seriously, right, I phone him every day. He'll never answer that phone. I don't know what he's got it for. He never answers his phone. And he says to me, no one rings me. Lad, I ring you I ring you every single day, Joe. Every single day. My mum will put this on the telly for you. I ring you every day. You need to answer your phone. But yeah, he's okay. And it's amazing the support that people out there have given him. Much love. Thank you. Yeah. Life on life terms. The cycle of life. I do worry about, like, you know, my mum's health and, you know, where Joe's going to go and what he's going to be like and how he's going to cope. I can't help think of the future, especially when you've got a brother who's got autism. I'm not really aware or understands how life operates. You know, there's people out there who've got family members who are on the spectrum, and you know and you understand how difficult it can be at times, whether they've got sensory problems or they hate noise. Joe, he's not a big fan of crowds and people. He balks and he gags, and you know, and you can see the fear etched in his face. You know, he's 44, but he's got the mindset of a young baby, really, like a young child. Very young. But he's a big, solid hombre. You know, you want to feel that the shoulders on him, the heavy duty. Oh, for years, you know, what I remember of Joe was like, growing up, Joe used to go missing all the time. We'd come down, right, I was the oldest, well, I am the oldest out of 6 of us. I'd come downstairs with my mum in the morning, and Joe would be sitting in the kitchen, right. We lived in a house, 25 Little Heath Road in Speke. I remember it well. We lived there for years, and we'd come down and Joe would be sitting in the kitchen. This is no word of a lie. You'd have all the sugar, the flour, the marge, the butter, whatever, the milk, the jam, every bit of contents out of the fridge on the floor in a pile, and he'd be rolling around in it like a pig in mud, you know, and he'd be smiling, and me mum, bless her, she'd be screaming and crying and sobbing because the house would have handprints all over the place. It'd be a mess, it'd be a nightmare to walk into, and he was just smiling, sitting there, and you couldn't help but just like pick him up and love him and give him a hug, you know. And I remember that often. And there was times when he used to just go missing. If you left the door open, it's easy to go. That's what, you know, the doors were open all the time, you know. The kids were in and out, and Joe would go missing, and that was it. You'd have to call the police because he'd be on the bus somewhere, and sometimes we'd find him in Garston, or he'd be in Hale Wood, just walking, you know. We had a police knocking at the door early hours one morning because he'd got out of the house 2 o'clock in the morning and was knocking at a friend of my mum's down the road, Anne's. He was walking around with one welly on, had a carrier bag, you know, was nappy. Just went missing. It's just bizarre, you know. So these are like the fond memories I've gotten. You know, I spent a lot of time with Joe, and I've got to be honest, I didn't feel I had the opportunity to be a child and have that playful way of living as a kid, and as kids do, and do things like go to the park. I was more of like a guardian to my brother from an early age, you know, and I resented that. You would, wouldn't you? You know, you what, 10, 11 years old, you want to go and play with mates, you want to go to the woods and do things and go exploring, and you know, you've got to mind your little brother who's got autism, you can't communicate with him. He didn't speak at all. So yeah, in hindsight, you know, I've reflected on that, and I felt really bad over the years because I treated him a little bit different from everyone else. Yeah, I did. And it did hurt me. It did hurt me when I used to lie in my shells, and I think about my family, and I think about Joe in particular, and I thought, you know what? I used to cry, I used to sob, and I used to get out, and I want to try and make amends, but I'd always end up back using, and using became more important. So my family, you know, were abandoned by me. They abandoned me, you know. So yeah, but the last time I got out, and I stayed with my mum, and I lived with them for a little while, and it was the first time that I developed a relationship with her, Joe, you know, and it was just incredible. Didn't realise what a lovely, caring soul he was, and you know, and how much he loved me. That was one thing I noticed, how much he was inspired by his big brother, you know, and he looked up to me a lot. Even when I was using, which is quite sad, because I used to share a room with him, and he talked to me, and I remember him talking and sharing stuff with me, and trying to tell me about his day, and I just, all right, lads, yeah, it sounds, see you later to that. And you know, as horrible as it sounds, I was just thinking about myself. But yeah, now it's just a powerful, relationship that we've got. So yeah, I do worry about him, and I'm a little bit concerned. But he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Hope you don't mind me sharing that stuff. You know, I don't really, it's very rare that I sit and talk on camera because I feel awkward. I don't mind sitting in front of a guest and listening to their stories and then identifying. Now, I've done loads of podcasts over the years, but it's easy to tell your story once it becomes a script. Because look, This was the first book I read, A Prayer Before Dawn, A Nightmare in Silent. It's now a critically acclaimed movie with the same name, starring Joe Cole, absolutely incredible actor. This one is the second book, A Prisoner's Story of Redemption, Fighting for My Life. Now, I wrote both of these myself. No one wrote them for me. I didn't sit there and start dictating stories and people are typing away. I believe that if you call yourself an author, right, then you actually sit down and you write that book, right, because there's no one who can write your story like you. Right, you can tell a story, people can add to it, but when you're writing it, there was a shame you could fool a baker and get away with a bun, but if you fool yourself, you'll end up with none. And that's so true, because when I was writing this first book, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't want to put in it, because I felt like I'd be judged, and it was a bit like embarrassing, and I didn't want to say, look, you know, my biggest fear was falling in love with a fella called Tiffany with a pair of boobs, you know. And people ask that question, did you ever sleep with a ladyboy? No, I never. You know, I remember going into the cell initially, and I was like quite shocked, overwhelmed by what I was seeing. You know, there was a massive like faces staring back at me from the floor. I'm talking about 80 people in this cell, and you know, transgenders walking around in high heels and thongs, and I was thinking, wow, this is weird. And they ain't my cup of tea, I'm telling you. But 6 months later, you know, they look like Lucy Liu. I had this mad fear, oh my God, what happens if I do fall in love? What happens if I do fancy one? And it's bizarre when you're bending over and one of the plums are hanging out unmanageable in the thong, and you think, oh mate, you just killed me. You just killed me off with that fantasy there. You know, and I think my humour, you know, got me through. You know, when you're sitting next to fellas with tops on that say no money, no honey, you think, I'm grateful I've got no money at the minute, I'm skinty here, fella. And they're looking at you going, I love your blue eye. And you're thinking, wow. Quite flattered, to be honest. I was quite flattered initially. You know, but yeah. I wouldn't say I was homophobic. I'd just say I was a little bit like afraid of like, I don't know, just wasn't my cup of tea. So no, it never happened, 100% guaranteed. And if people are that way inclined, it's fine. I've got no qualms with that, you know. That's how it is. A lot of people hate on people on these platforms, you know. I don't understand why. There's a lot of haters, a lot of negativity. People want to incite violence. Yeah, I don't see people wanting to build each other up and support each other and give people a pat on the back and say, well done. How are you? You doing okay? You know, I've been hated on by individuals on these platforms who've made videos about me. I don't know why. I've never met them in my life. Got no relationship with them. But what I do see is someone who's struggling, who's feeling quite vulnerable themselves, because I've been there. I'm on the receiving end of myself when I see these people. So I wish them well. I don't wish them no harm. I don't want to judge them. I hope they find some solace in their life. Because to hate on someone is like, it's like drinking poison and update day from it. There was loads of cliches out there in the fellowship, you know, over the years, you know. We'll love you till you love yourself. I was like, what? Love me till I love myself? Wow. Keep coming back. No one wanted me to come back anywhere, you know. That was another thing. One day at a time. One day. Oh my God. I can't even think about 1 minute. Never mind a day. But, you know, you learn. You train yourself. You know, I don't worry about things as much no more, because worrying isn't a solution. I try not to react when I'm feeling a little bit intolerant or impatient. I take that deep breath, and it separates the men from the boys when, you know, I think about how I'm going to respond, because I use on how I feel, no matter what, whether it's a good feeling, bad feeling, you know, I can pick up just to change the way I am. And I haven't done it for a long time. And it's an incredible journey that I've been on. and all of all the support that I get out there from yourselves and all the comments. It means so much to me, it does. And if there's anything I can do for you out there in the comment section, you want to ask me a question and I can answer it, you know, and just share a little bit of my lived experience, then I will. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much.